So welcome to UNIT Masters week number 1 in cohort 4. And we have our first live mentoring session with Ilia, CEO of Plasma Finance here. And before we get started, just a quick poll to get to know each other. So I'll launch it and then you can all just click on your screen and share, where are we calling from? What's our level of blockchain understanding? And so on, just real quick, so we can get a quick snapshot of who's in the room with us before I hand over to Michael to have the conversation with Ilia.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Yep. Really excited for this new Unit Masters batch. I think we have some really amazing speakers, and I think this year has turned out to be super interesting with the crypto and the blockchain space. So curious to hear the thoughts and insights and views of some of the blockchain leaders. So we have Ilia today, who's the founder of PlasmaPay or Plasma Finance. It's one of the leading decentralized finance applications. He's based in Bali, and yeah, looking forward to opening up the session where he introduces himself, gives a background of how he got started, why he's so passionate about the blockchain and crypto space, and what he envisions for the future of it. So please put your hands together for Ilia.
Hi to everyone. Thank you very much, Michael, for inviting me today on this first session. I'm very much glad to be here. Yeah, so I start my short story from my background. I came from the financial and corporate market. So my background mostly in the fintech and IT space. And my long journey started in 2010. And when I first known about the Bitcoin, and just not really understand this technology because it was very new one, and I just passed it. So then later in 2015 and 16, I started to look more on this technology at the Bitcoin and how it can almost like influence the whole economy and the whole global financial market, and started thinking about how we can really implement these technologies and use the cryptocurrency. And since 2017, I started developing a few new applications for the retail user, for the mass user, to help for global Bitcoin adoption as a cryptocurrency and as a payment method. And this day we have one of the biggest fiat on and off ramp infrastructure that we use on our non-custodial wallet PlasmaPay. And last year we also launched a big DeFi platform. It's a decentralized finance platform for people to get access to this new type of product and services. So we launched the Plasma.finance service, and now it's also one of the leading platform on the DeFi market. And I'm happy to tell more about my vision maybe and how we see all these products and features can affect the whole global economy and the banking system. So maybe we can go with Michael from questions, so I will be more comfortable to answer them step by step.
Most definitely, that sounds great. Maybe for someone who has no clue about Plasma Finance or PlasmaPay, if you could kind of introduce it to give an overview, that would be awesome. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. So the PlasmaPay, it's a non-custodial wallet that we launched in 2017. And now it's mostly looks like a replacement for the PayPal. So it's a big payment system that based on the blockchain technologies. So you can utilize the different cryptocurrencies. You can buy and sell them using your bank account, your credit card, and also utilize this platform of PlasmaPay as a payment system for any e-commerce platform. So if you're selling some services, products, or etc., you can integrate the PlasmaPay checkout to your website and accept the different currencies, accept the cards. And inside the platform, you can manage your assets, make payouts, make a payment to your counterparties or other people using these accounts mostly as an analog of your bank account, but based on the cryptocurrencies. So that give you a whole freedom about your funds and assets, how you want to manage them, how you want to receive this asset or pay out to any external user using this cryptocurrency. So it's kind of PayPal based on crypto. And Plasma Finance, it's a DeFi platform. We launched this platform in 2020. So this platform aggregates the different decentralized financial protocols under one UI. This is a fully decentralized platform. So for using this platform, you need to have your MetaMask wallet. So that's not non-custodial wallet, or you can use it with a PlasmaPay also. And on the Plasma Finance platform, you can manage your asset in more like banking way. So you can deposit this asset on different contracts, and you can receive your APY on these assets. So that's most like you put your money on the bank account and receive interest rate on the annual basis. But with the Plasma Finance and the new DeFi market, these protocols can give you much higher APY than your bank account. Let's say if you put $10,000 on your bank account, it gives you 1, maybe 2% per year. If you put the same money on the DeFi protocols, it can give you from 10 to 20 or sometimes 30% per year. So that's much more efficient way of managing your capital, your savings. And PlasmaPay, it's all about this DeFi market, this new animal on the cryptocurrency market. And with the Plasma Finance, we also try to educate the people how they can use these new protocols to more efficiently manage their assets. So that's not about the speculation mostly, it's most about the different financial services on top of blockchain.
Amazing. And how would you explain like DeFi? So, you know, everyone's talking about DeFi this past year, DeFi has gone pretty wild and people have jumped in on like, why is it so interesting? Or like, what's the future of it?
Yeah, so as I said, like the DeFi market, it's a new type of banking services without any centralized company or bank. So you can have all the same services that you can get in your bank. You can deposit your money, you can borrow different assets, and it will be all managed by protocols. So you never will pay to any third parties who managing your money like a bank, like a banks, for example. And that's why you can receive much higher APY, or you can borrow asset at much better rate on the DeFi market than in the centralized financial services like banks and payment system. So the whole DeFi market, it's a new market. It's the next stage of the global banking market development. And the main like feature of this market that you don't have any centralized solution, all totally decentralized and managed by smart contracts on the blockchain. And depends on different blockchain, you can work with the DeFi on the Ethereum chain, you can work with it on the Binance Smart Chain, on the Polkadot, or on the second layer chains like a Polygon. So that's all provide you a different list of assets that you can work with and different protocols. And one of the most advanced network these days, it's a Ethereum network. So you can find there up to 1,000 maybe applications who will provide you different services and solutions. So Plasma Finance tried to aggregate the most popular protocols under one UI to give you access to these protocols without need to switch from side to side. And also it will protect you and your money from any like scamming project, because we verify all these contracts and all these protocols that we integrate in the Plasma Finance. So if you go now on the Plasma Finance, you can find there a list of 700 different assets on the Ethereum chain. You also can trade this asset using the decentralized exchanges. So you can swap between any of the assets that's on the market right now. So for that, you don't need to do a KYC. You need to sign up for any accounts like you do on the Binance, for example. So that's all working in the decentralized way. All you need to just have your wallet connected to the platform and then using all these features. And also we have a saving dashboard. So this is the dashboard with different protocols where you can just stake your asset like USDT, USDC, DAI, or any other asset, and just receive a pretty stable APY on these assets. So you can choose the different ways of how you want to make money on this platform. And we also have some like educational content on our DeFi university, and we planning to add more. And we also now participate in CoinMarketCap education program. So we preparing the different articles and trying to explain users how working the different DeFi protocols. Plus, if you go on our Medium blog, you also find a lot of articles with an explanation how you can use this or that features of Plasma Finance platform.
Amazing. And, you know, I guess PlasmaPay, Plasma Finance is one of the leaders in the DeFi field. Like, how have you managed to do that? Like, what's the journey been like, you know, since 2017 or before or after? Like, how have you managed to grow?
Yeah.
To be?
So when we start in 2017, our PlasmaPay service, the problem that year was about the most issue was about the adoption of cryptocurrency for the mass user. So people didn't understand what the crypto is, how to use it, how to use wallets, and etc. So the first goal of the PlasmaPay infrastructure that days was to explain for the people how to deal with the crypto, how to buy it, how to trade it, and etc. And these days, most of the cryptocurrency market and users, they become like more educated in terms of whole market. And now in 2020, we start seeing that the DeFi market start growing from like few $1 million to 10, then $100 million. And then we realized that that can be a next big, the next big market for the whole cryptocurrency industry and also for the global economy. So in 2020, we realized also that the biggest problem about the DeFi market, that's a pretty like complicated market. It's hard to understand how it works and how you can benefit from different protocols. And our major goal also of Plasma Finance was to become this kind of guideline and teacher for the mass user to explain how all this works and how to protect you from the different scams and problems of the market. So then we launched Plasma Finance, and now we successfully growing. We almost have now 100,000 users who use this platform on the monthly basis. They trade, they provide the liquidity, they stake in the assets and different protocols, they make any money. And we, as a big DApp, decentralized application, we provide all these services for free. So we don't charge anything because our main goal is to adopt the DeFi market for the mass, for the retail user and investor, and to bring more people to use this freedom space for making the money to save their money and save their funds and grow in the revenue. So our still the major goal is to explain people and educate people and bringing them to this new DeFi market.
Amazing. And like, what are the barriers you think? Like, how can we go from now, you know, where there's a small minority of people using DeFi to one where everyone uses it, they understand it, it's not complicated or worse that they don't understand? Like, what's the journey going to be like, and how can we speed it up, would you say?
Yeah. Thank you. Good question. So I think the journey starts from the simple UI, because if you go on any DeFi protocols, it's pretty complicated. It's like a very technical. It's like the Bitcoin was like 5 years ago. Nobody can open just a wallet because it was very complicated. So the DeFi now almost at the same stage as a Bitcoin 5 years ago. So people just can use the most of the UI of different protocols. So the Plasma Finance started building the user interface a bit similar to what we have on our banks, on our banking application. So you have a deposits, you have savings, you can exchange asset, you can participate in different IDOs and token sale of new projects. So we just try to bring all these complicated features into very simple UI. And I think the second step is to explain for the people how the whole protocols work, because that's the issue is that all these protocols, it's kind of banking services that we put on code and put on blockchain. So people who want to understand better how to use these protocols and how they work, they need to deep dive in how the whole like banking system works. how the banking system like credit other people or companies, how they work in your deposit in a bank account. So almost this replacement of the banks with the new DeFi protocols, it's almost replacement this old school functionality of banks with the new technologies, with the new protocols. And this is maybe the most difficult part, because with a simple UI, you can just click a few buttons and get what you need. But if you're trying to educate people about how all this works, people need to have like a minimum financial education and understand how the current financial system works, to understand how the DeFi works. So for people who don't want to spend time on this education, but I think that's super important, because if you manage your assets and your capital by yourself, you just need to understand how the different market works, how the stock market works, how the commodities market works, and etc. to allocate your funds properly. And the DeFi is the same. It's another type of assets. And you should understand what's behind this asset, what protocols, and what make them stable and safe to allocate the part of your funds on these protocols. So we try to educate people, but that's maybe most of the difficult part of this journey to the global DeFi adoption.
Amazing. And like, I guess, you said the rates, the returns when you use a DeFi platform versus when you use a bank is much higher. Like, how does this happen? So, when you leave money in a bank and it gives you interest, or you leave on a DeFi platform, like why does it pay you more, or like how does it compare?
Yeah. Thank you for the question. When you make a bank deposit, like the classical bank deposit, the bank takes your money and start lending this money to other people and make money on this borrowing. So the bank system makes a huge amount, a ton of monies on the credit system, and they repay you only a small amount, just to like a market rate of your deposits. That's why we have like this 1 to 2% of APY for like a bank account. And the rest money they paid for their operation, to buy a new buildings, to open the branches, and etc. So if you go on the Hong Kong now, that's like the most expensive city in the world, and every second tower, every second skyscraper in the Hong Kong, it will be owned by bank. So the bank make a ton of money, and they spend money on the buildings and other stuff, and to pay some rewards and revenue to their owners and beneficiaries. And when we go in the DeFi market, all these protocols, they just take off this middleman, like banks, like all these buildings and people and operations and managers, and they just provide you a pure technology to do almost the same, but on the blockchain layer. So you just borrow the money through the blockchain to another person. And if the person pay you like 10 or 15% for this money, you get this native rewards by yourself. So the protocols just charge you very small fees just to support the operation, but there is no any like people, middleman, buildings, and any other costs. So that's why the current blockchain infrastructure, the DeFi infrastructure, like 10, 20, 100 times more effective than a current banking system. And that's what we're also trying to explain for the most of the people.
Amazing. And like, how long is it going to take? The way newspapers kind of no longer, you get physical newspapers, the way, bookshops have replaced with, the internet. How long is it going to take for banks to be replaced by DeFi, or for people to realize that, leaving money in a bank is much more inefficient than just using the technology through DeFi, decentralized finance?
Yeah, thank you. From my vision, the DeFi, it can like 100% replace the banking system, because the banks, they owned by government and the government system. So the banks is very important part of whole like financial infrastructure. But DeFi as a protocols, as more like a technology protocols, it can provide for the bank a new layer of evolution. So I think that the banks will evolve themselves, and they will adopt the DeFi for their current infrastructure. So now we're seeing like many big banks and many big financial institutions, they trying to interact with the DeFi protocols inside themselves, inside the infrastructure. So I think the final stage, maybe in 5 to 10 years, will looks like we have the same banks, the bank application, but we will have a DeFi section inside, and we can just deposit our money not only on the bank account that maybe like 100% protected by government, but we also can deposit this money on different DeFi protocols that already adopted by the banks and get just a bit higher APY on these protocols. So I think in terms of DeFi market, it makes the money market, the global money market, is more efficient, and that will bring the banks to this market. So the final story is how the banks adopt the DeFi and provide this access for the customers. And I think it should happen in the next 5 years, because now for the past 3 years, I saw like a lot of banking system, a lot of financial institutions and government, they already tried to adopt this cryptocurrency as a different type of assets for investment or savings. And now they're also trying to adopt the DeFi protocols. So I think that's a very like a close time when we see all these features together. Even for example, if you look now on the PayPal, they just like a few months ago, they announced that they will sell the cryptocurrency to their users. Now they announced that they're gonna allow people to accept cryptocurrency and exchange it back to fiat. And then we see like Visa and MasterCard, they also start working with the different stable coins and cryptocurrencies as another processing layers for their systems. So I think just in a few years, we'll see a first pilots from the banks with the DeFi market. And also part of our like Plasma journey is we now get some requests from the financial institutions to provide them some kind of API on top of DeFi market. So they already tried to interact maybe through the API with this market, just to provide a very simple interface for their customers on their applications. So I think if these pilots with the Plasma Pay and Plasma Finance will go good with the banks, I hope we will see some like collaboration with our product and banks in the next year.
Amazing. We have a nice question here from Bridget. The middlemen also have experience rating credit though, right? So how will DeFi address this?
Yeah, the DeFi itself, it's built by an amazing developers who is very good understand the whole like economy model of the banks, of the different like credit institutions. And they put all these models on chain as a code. And it was secured and checked by another security audit companies. So first of all, these models, like the market trust to these models, and this trust we can estimate in the money that people put on these protocols. So current total value locked on in the DeFi in around $140 billion. So this amount of money is already put it on the DeFi market and different protocols that people trust, and this money works and give to their owners a pretty big APY. So I think this, like the whole blockchain world, is about the trust and money efficiency. So that's I think that's the answer.
Amazing. And we have a nice question from Yip. Could you explain, please, the potential risks of this complete decentralization, and what are the considerations for people building these systems to mitigate the risk?
Yeah, I think if we look at the past like few weeks, when the market dropped pretty heavily, like on 50%, all the cryptocurrencies dropped. So that was maybe the first time for the DeFi market when we saw such a big price drop of the currencies, because most of these protocols they based on the Ethereum and other assets. So, and with this drop, we see how the DeFi is stable. So all the protocols in DeFi, like top 10, top 50 protocols, they work perfectly. All this peer-to-peer system for lending and borrowing, all these DEXs, all these liquidation protocols, all this piece of the systems, they work super stable on such big drop of the price. That means that in general, DeFi market now is already pretty stable, and every day different protocols deploy a new update for their protocols. So they always improving their protocols to stay a leader of this industry. In terms of risk, I think the major risk is the not people who's not good educated on this market. So when you come first on this market, you see a lot of different protocols, and also like on this market, a lot of scam projects, like it was in 2017. And to understand which of them is good and which of them is scam projects, you need to do your own research. You need to understand the market. You need to read newspapers and different media to understand that. And if you just don't want to spend time on that, you can just lose money when you deploy this money on the scam or unstable protocols. So that's the answer, that to make it more safe for any of us, you just need to get like the basic knowledge on this market and to understand the like top 10 protocols on the market, how it works, and why you should choose them and not these more risky protocols that give you maybe thousands of APY on your deposits, but it's the same risk of losing all your money. So it's better to go on the protocols that give you like 10% of APY on your USDT and give this stable APY than meet the risk of losing your money with other protocols. So the education is the key here.
Amazing. And what excites you about like the crypto space or the blockchain space or DeFi, or like what's your vision for it? Like what do you see happening in the next 5 years or 7 years or beyond?
Yeah, thank you. When I came to this market and started my journey in like 2017 with the product, I see like the first wave of hype when people just saw crypto and how they can make money on this crypto bull run. And they start deploying the capital in the cryptocurrency and the different tokens without even understanding these technologies. And then also because we are like a regulated company, so we work with different regulators and governments. From other side, we saw like all these governments, they start caring about their citizens and thinking how they can protect them from this crypto and potential scam of this of a lot of projects on this market. And they start just not allowing people to use a crypto. So from that years to today, I saw a lot of change on this market. Most of the developed countries, they already regulate the crypto because they understand that the whole crypto market and DeFi market, it's a part of big economy, and it's help for this economy to become like more effective on the money market. So I think the main perspective of using crypto and DeFi, it's just to modify the whole global economy and make it more accessible also for the people from the developing countries, like, I don't know, Indonesia, Philippines, African countries, because the whole DeFi system can replace the financial system in such countries. So I think for the developed countries, the DeFi market is bringing more tools to manage the capital more effectively. And for the developing countries, it almost can replace the economy system with a very effective product and services, and people can get access to the different financial services that they don't have access now. So I think in the long term, maybe 3 to 5 years, we will see how this new market, almost the DeFi market, will be integrated in the current financial system and bank system, and we will all get access to this market.
Amazing. And like you mentioned, people sort of like looking at projects, and there are many scams emerging or projects which don't really have like a money grabs or bad actors? Like, how do you identify what's a legit project or something that, you know, has a future versus something that's going to disappear or like steal your money? Like, how do you tell?
Yeah, thank you. So for Plasma Finance, for example, we just working with protocols that already exist on the market for many months or years. So we working only with a protocol that prove their stability and sustainability. And if you, for example, if you want to invest in some like IDOs, in the new tokens and new protocols, then the only one advice that you need to do a pretty good homework to explore and understand this protocol and product if you want to invest in this token on the very early stage. And then you need to understand this 100% of risk of losing your capital, not only because the project can be scammed, but because the market can drop like yesterday, and most of unsustainable protocols, they also, the price of them also drop till like 80% from 80. So maybe it could be a technical scam or maybe a hack. So for the new protocols, they just raising the money, then just come on the market. They need to be on this market for some months to show their stability, and then only I can suggest to invest in these tokens or use these protocols. But if it's a very new project, I just suggest you understand that this is a very high risk of losing your capital. That's also a good potential for high rewards. Many of the tokens, they can do 1,000%, 10,000% of your capital, but it's still a very high risk. So it's more like a gambling. But if you want to use the DeFi as a protocols and deploy your capital in these protocols and not speculate on these tokens, so then you just need to choose the most stable protocols. That's just the top 10 of them. If you go on DeFi Pulse or DeFi Llama, that's the services of DeFi rating system. So you can find all these protocols on this on the market, and you can just go from the top to bottom and just click and go on the website, read about these protocols, watch a video on the YouTube, and understand this protocol before you deploy your money there. And also, I recommend to subscribe for channel of Bankless. I think you know these guys. This is very cool person who is doing a lot of explanation about how the DeFi works. And if you just watch like 10 of their videos, you will be a pretty good expert in the DeFi market and understand the different protocols. So yeah, that's my high recommendation to subscribe to their YouTube channel.
Amazing. We have a question here from Yip. What are factors you look at when doing your research? How do you differentiate between good versus bad practice?
That depends of how I want to use these protocols. If I gonna use it for managing my asset to deploy it in different protocols, I just do research on top of like information about looking at the white paper, understand how the protocol works. I look at the numbers, how much capital deployed already in this protocols or this vault. I see. Yeah, also look at the team. That's very important, that the team is open for the public. They understand who is behind this protocol. So I can also, as I know, as I'm always like many years on the market, I know almost every person on this market. I know any developer of any DeFi protocol. So I can just send them a question directly on Telegram and ask what I need to know about them. Or if it's a new team, a new protocol, I can very fast find a relevant referral person from my network who's already know these guys, because nobody just came on the market. The DeFi market is too complicated. That most of this team, they already existed on the market for many months or maybe years. So they're all a well-known person, and that's all based on trust with this person. If somebody pretty trusted building some new protocols, So it's give me some like credentials for these protocols. And I usually, if I even understand and trust to the protocols, I usually deploy a very small amount of capital just to understand what the returns will be for this capital, and also understand like what the fees, what the risk could be, and etc. But even if, let's say, some of the big protocols, they was hacked some days before, and the amount of stolen money was like 10 or 15 million dollars. So that was a very big fail for these protocols. But what I saw in the market, that another protocols, they create kind of foundation. And if some of the big protocols losing their money on the hack, they just recover this money from this foundation to protect the end user. So that's another layer of trust, because all these big DeFi protocols, they care about the market, about the sustainability of the whole market. And if they see some hacks on the market, they also become stronger, because they close these problems and this issue of the contract, and these contracts become more stable. And they pay for this to the hackers, they pay from these foundations. And at the end, the most of the users, they pretty protected on the DeFi market. Even it's very young now, it's just 1 year maybe, but it's already have its own leaders, its own big protocols with $1 billion deployed in these protocols, and this $1 billion, they making a pretty high returns. So that means that this market in common, in general, it's a very highly efficient.
Amazing. Love to hear also what are the other platforms that you mentioned, like, okay, let's say Compound, Aave or Maker. Like, could you maybe give an explanation to maybe some of the participants, like what are these protocols, what do they do, please?
Yeah, that's that's a good question and a long story, because each of these protocols, they pretty big, so the infrastructure big, but I can just give a very brief explanation of how it works. So the DAO Maker, the Aave and Compound, this is a lending and borrowing protocol. So you can be lender or borrower, and if you lender, you just put your asset on these protocols, and they lock on the protocols, and another person can borrow this asset with a more than 100% of collateral reserve. So if I want to borrow like I don't know, 1 ETH, I need to have like collateral for 1.5 ETH in the USDT. So that's usually how works this lending and borrowing protocol. Another type of DeFi protocols is the decentralized exchanges that allow you to trade any asset between a different counterparties without this centralization, without the signups, accounts, KYC, and etc. You just make a swap using these protocols. And one of the biggest one, it's a Uniswap, it's a sushi swap, and a few months ago we also deployed our own DEX that called the PlasmaSwap. So using these DEXs, you just connect your wallet and you make a swap using the different liquidity pools of assets. So let's say you want to swap USDT to USDC, and you just send the transaction of USDT to Uniswap, and they send you back the USDC from the liquidity pool. And this is how you can use this protocol, automatic market maker protocol, to make an exchange. But also you can use this protocol as a money management system. So you can provide your liquidity in these trading pools, and you can make money on the fees. So people who do swaps, they pay a very small amount of fees, and this fees by protocol, it distributed to all people who provide the liquidity on this protocol. So let's say you provide $10,000 on the Uniswap in the pool of USDT and USDC, and you can track the whole trading volume in this pool, and you will see the amount of rewards that you can get from your capital on this pool. And now, for example, Uniswap just launched Uniswap version 3 of their protocol. This is a kind of very effective MM protocol. And for some pools, they allow you to create a rewards mostly as like 5 to 1,000, like 500 to 1,000% of APY, just providing a liquidity and very right range of price. So it's a bit difficult to understand just from the explanation, but it's definitely need to understand the Uniswap better, because that's maybe one of the major protocol now who allow you to make very good money on the providing of liquidity, not just a swap and exchange in different tokens. And also there are like another 100 of protocols. You can go on the DeFi Llama, as I said, and you can see all of them. That's a huge list. They also have different categories of the protocols. So it's not only the protocols for trading and protocols for lending and borrowing. There's also protocols for the insurance. There is also some more like a deep dive protocols to trade options on top of cryptocurrency market with a decentralized option system. There is also some protocols who allow you to provide your capital in automatic bot system. So that's kind of automatic hedge funds. So you provide this your funds on these smart contracts, and smart contracts by itself manage your funds and put in these funds in different protocols to make for you a higher APY. So also, if you go on the Plasma Finance and the savings, you will find some of these vaults where you can just deposit your capital, and you will see what the APY you can get from these protocols.
Amazing. A few people are asking, what's the YouTube channel that you recommended listening to?
Yeah, it's called the Bankless. It's a banklesshq.com. If you want to subscribe for the newsletters, and this is a Bankless podcast and YouTube channel. Let me also find it and drop you on the chat.
Good. Thanks so much. We have a nice question here from Joe. How do you see decentralized insurance solutions evolving?
Yeah, so the question is how does it work? Or so usually this insurance protocol, they have a few models of protocols. So some of them just creating an kind of insurance pool when they just put the money from different projects who want to insure the like to build the coverage for their token, for example. So you as a token issuer, you can provide additional tokens and assets to build the coverage for your token, and then people who wanna buy this coverage, they can buy it from you. And if something happened on chain, like some of the protocols or was hacked or token was stolen, so on the DeFi market, you can see all this on chain. So these protocols tracking the different actions and history of transactions on what happened on chain. And if they triggered of some actions like stolen funds, hacked smart contracts, and etc., they just automatically repay you for your coverage. So you can protect with this coverage from the usually hacks, or it's not protecting you from scam project, because you almost can buy coverage for the scam project because that can be manipulated by the project itself. But for the major protocols, you can buy coverage from the hacks of major protocols of DeFi. You also can buy a coverage or insurance for the like a big price drop, for example. So you will be repaid some of this price drop. So there are a few models of insurance. I'm not very close to this market because we're more like in the money management market and asset management. But yeah, insurance is definitely need to look at it, and it's more younger market than whole DeFi. It's maybe a few months. So yeah, that's a new growing market. So if you really want to understand the DeFi, go and read about a few with like insurance and coverage protocols like Nexus Mutual or Cover Protocol, and just understand how it works and how you can benefit from these protocols.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time, Ilia. Just a final question before we wrap up and go into breakout rooms. The last 10 minutes. What's something that you're most excited about or passionate about with the future of the space, or personally that you're really looking forward to happening, like your dream of it?
Yeah, my big dream that any person in the world can have a direct access to all DeFi products, and almost that almost can replace their bank account or their payment system account. So that's my big dream. And everything that we're building in the Plasma Finance and the PlasmaPay, and we have another stealth product and projects in our ecosystem. Everything we build in here, it's all about the access for the people, for the whole nation, a digital nation, to the best decentralized financial services and infrastructure without any permission, without like any restrictions. So we all need to have access to the freedom of capital, of personal money management, and get access to the best tools and services on this market. So that's my big passion about the market.
Amazing. I love your vision and super excited for the future to come. We're just going to move into breakout rooms now for the last 10 minutes. Thank you so much, Ilia. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much also for having me today. Take care, all of you guys. See you in Telegram. Bye-bye.